is up, guys? Louie back here with another video for Pokemon Pocket. Today's video, I wanted to have a bit of a chat, just a bit of a conversation. Whilst we're having a conversation, I'm gonna attempt to play some of the PvP aspects of this game at the moment. So, what I wanted to talk about today was is the game too simple? Like, it's a question that's being asked a lot at the moment. Whether or not the game is just generally too simple of a game. Firstly, I want to point out, like, I'm an average player when it comes to playing this game. I may have an above average collection of cards, and that's because I spent money on the game. But I am the average player when it comes to, like, battling and fighting other people and doing the PvP aspect of this game. Mainly because, home life, work, kids. I get about 30 battles a day, if that, really. And what I wanted to talk about was it's an average question, I guess, for these kinds of games. Like, card games are designed for usually the PvP aspect of it. Like, the majority of card games are designed around the battling and the interaction between player versus player. There's a little bit of an environment aspect to these games, but predominantly it's based on PvP. So I feel like that's a bit different when it comes to Pokemon Pocket. The reason being is Pokemon Pocket seems to be traditionally aimed as a Pokemon card collecting experience with a battling aspect tagged on. And there's a couple of reasons why I believe that, as I've just completely failed RNG on that Tails there, which is another point I'll get into soon. But the idea is, what is the game? Like, is it a battling game or is it a card collecting game? To me, in my opinion, the game is a card collecting game with, of course, the battle mechanic added on as a bonus, in essence. Now, there is currently limited deck pools, and I suppose the thing we have to talk about with the limited deck pool is the game is in its infancy, I suppose. It's in its early stages of its life cycle. It doesn't know, we don't know where it's going to go in regarding to the battling aspect of it, or even the card collecting aspect of it, and there is a little bit of leaks and things like that, but I don't really want to talk about those. So, to me, the game has the limited deck pool currently. There seems to be 3 archetypes. So you have the aggro decks, which is like your Rapidash, your Primeapes. You have your ramp up decks, kind of like Mewtwo, Dragonite. You have the Flippers, RNG decks, whatever you want to call them, which is like anything with a Misty in it, basically, is to me just an absolute RNG fest deck. Then you have Pikachu EX, which kind of sits between like an aggro and a ramp deck, because like you do need to ramp up Pikachu EX by getting all of the basic Pokemon on the bench before it can actually come out and do what it needs to do. But then it can be aggro because you can do quite a bit of damage with low energy cost. But then if you do need to jump over to Zapdos, then you're kind of fucked, and you're basically looking at a ramp-up deck again, unfortunately. So what we're looking at is, what is the game trying to do, and who's it aimed at? Because at the moment, to me, it's aimed at quick battles. Like, these battles they give you 20 minutes each person, but like, they don't take that long. Battles take anywhere between 5-10 minutes maximum. So they are quick turnaround battles, which for me reduces the fear of losing. Like, because when you lose, you're not just losing because you lost in the game, but you're losing the time that you invested in that battle. So you don't feel so bad that you lost because you're not losing much time, in essence, really. The game doesn't even track losses. Like, the game, it's like the whole win-loss ratio thing is completely hidden. Everything is just based on wins. Like, even on your title page and when you look at your character and everything, it's all based on how many games you've won. It doesn't tell you how many games you've lost. So that's not too bad. Now, the game itself is massively RNG focused, and I think the game needs to look at that, at least for certain cards. Misty, to me, just Misty is one of those cards where I guess it's rewarding and it can fuck you repeatedly. But I don't like it. I really dislike the Misty card. As I'm talking about that, I'm playing a Misty deck. So, but you gotta play what you gotta play. I just dislike the Misty card in general. Like, I like the Blaine and the Brock cards. Those are kind of cool. Like, Brock makes more sense. You get to pull one energy and put it on your Pokemon. But Misty's just balls to the wall. You can go from, like, nothing to 10 mana or whatever if you get super lucky. You can get, like, a stupid amount of RNG look on that card. And I don't like it. Now, I do like the fact the game isn't harsh on losing for now anyway, until we actually see a rank mode. Like, if you lose nothing other than the time invested in the fact that you lost. And of course, you don't get any XP reward if you lose a game at the moment. That's about it. I do feel like more data is needed at the moment to understand if there is really an ideal sort of like meta deck. I'm not one of these YouTubers that sort of has to make money on their videos, so I don't go into, this is the number one deck, this is the best deck ever made, oh my god, I found a deck that nobody's seen before and look what it can do. I don't give a shit. Like, that, it's all bullshit. Like, at least with Hearthstone, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of games worth of knowledge on that, and it will give you an understanding of exactly what it does. I like that when the data's there to back up all of the bullshit videos that come out. They're clickbait. They're just there to clickbait you into viewing the video, getting so many views, and then allowing them to earn money. Fair enough. It's their job. It's what they need to do, but to me, it doesn't give a real understanding of what the actual game is currently. And that's because the game is too young. There's not enough data to start pulling out, this is the best deck, this is the number one deck, this is the meta deck, this is a meta deck killer, blah, 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 blah. Just not enough data in the game at the moment. And it just kind of gets to me when people make videos like that. So anyway, the battling aspect of the game to me seems like a secondary thought. Currently anyway, it's like, how do we make more simplicity in our normal battle and then shrink it down? It's kind of like they took an idea from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and was like, well, they did it, we'll do it for ours and see what happens. And in a way, it works. We need more cards. We'll have to see how that looks when the new expansions and everything come out, and whether or not they sort of continue to sort of affect the meta, if there is a meta right now. But in essence, there's a couple of cards that have come out which have generally altered a couple of decks and made a couple of decks better. So maybe when we see the release in December and the release in January, we can find out where we're going to be on these. So I guess in reality, what I'm trying to say at the moment, I think it's too soon to say if the game is too simple, because it's not had enough time to exist on the shelf, in essence, to have an understanding if this is just the basics that we're learning, so that the mechanics of the game are going to change, the way we fight, the way cards reward points. I assume there's always going to be this EX, GX, VMAX thing going on for the points. So I assume it's always going to be this kind of battling aspect of it, but I'm hoping that things change and mechanics get involved, and we don't just go into this RNG simulator for most of the decks that we're just hoping on a fucking Tails or whatever. But if you're like me, I'm here for the collecting aspect of it. The battling aspect is a great thing. It's a fun little thing to do. You don't have to do it. It's not mandatory. Well, unless you're trying to get the rewards from the event. But the rewards from the event were pretty much right away. Like you got the hourglasses pretty much right at the beginning. So you didn't need to do the 45 battles if you don't want to. The 45 battles are literally just if you want to get the emerald thing, the pin. If you don't want that, you don't have to get it. So if you're just collecting the cards, you could have just done the first 4 or 5 battles or whatever it was to get the rewards and then walk away. So that wasn't too bad. But all in all, I'm having fun playing the game. I really am. It's enjoyable. Even the battling aspect is enjoyable. Yeah, I get frustrated when RNG seems to want to pin me down and take me from behind and fucking forcibly annihilate my ass. But then again, it's also the opposite when the RNG goes the opposite way and you fucking get 6 energy on an Articuno in the first turn and the other guy concedes, and you know exactly how that feels because you know it's happened to you already. I mean, these are the things that we go through. I mean, the game is pretty simple, but I think that it's meant to be right now. I'm hoping that in its infancy, the simplicity is there to bring people into it, introduce people to the battling mechanics, introduce people to the collection mechanics, broadening it out to a big audience, and then hopefully there'll be the more dedicated PvP sections, the dedicated PvE sections, just dedicated things for the players that are into it for the more longevity. Now, I don't play the game for 10 hours straight, right? So I'm giving you my opinion based on a normal player who has access to all the cards because I can buy them. But as a normal player when it comes to playing the game, like I'm playing the game on an average of maybe an hour to an hour and a half a day. And that's at a push. Even at a weekend, it's probably less at a weekend than it is during the day. And I think we need more time to answer the question, is Pokemon Pocket TCG too simple? Do we need more mechanics? Do we need less RNG? Do we need more of other things? I don't know yet. I don't think the game has been out long enough to decide whether or not those things are appropriate yet. Watch. And I think it's fitting that I'm about to end this video on a coin flip. And I got fucked. And it do be like that sometimes. So, in all, my opinion, I believe the game is pretty simple right now. But I think it's a good thing. Until 3-6 months down the line, and then we'll make a decision whether or not that simplicity is still a factor, and whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. But until then, I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.